capital, where we are in fact getting an exclusive information as far as the flight Hoax calls are concerned. Now, Ministry of Civil Aviation's new mandate on flight threats. It will in fact be has conducted multi-layer assessment of the threats to determine the seriousness of threats, considering the credibility of sources before declaring a threat as specific or non-specific. In addition to the existing factors for deciding the credibility of a threat, a series of new indicative factors have been introduced in the revised guidelines of BCAS. Now, what are these guidelines? Identify the person giving threat, person's allegiance to any organization, terror group, motive of the threat. So these are in fact a series of points and guidelines that has in fact been put by the Civil Aviation Minister to make sure that whenever such Hoax call are coming, they determine whether it's a fake or a genuine one, and accordingly they take action. In fact, to know more about this, I'm joined by my colleague Anvit Srivastava. Anvit, tell us more detail. We are seeing that a series of pointers has been put as far as the entire investigation or the Hoax call are concerned. So what can you take us through the points, the guidelines that has been put in place now?
Yes, Sharon, we have of late seen that a number of flights have received threats, and these numbers were actually high. There have been days where they've been threat to 50 flights at once. And as per the per the protocol, the BCAS and the DGCA, the protocol that have been laid, all these airlines had to be grounded and undergo detailed scanning, and the luggage, all the luggage has to be rescanned and made sure that everything is safe. So this takes a lot of time. This is a very tedious exercise, and it takes close to 50 men and 5 hours to clear one such aircraft. So just to make the process easier, because all these threats are mostly given on social media, and some specific details were also mentioned, like the flight number, the timing of the flights. Following that, these threats are were declared to be specific. There are two categories of threats. One is non-specific, one is specific. A BTAC is convened whenever such a threat is given. BTAC is Form Threat Assessment Committee, and it has to be convened. It has certain stakeholders from the CISF, from the local police, from the DGCA, BCAS, Airport Authority. So a BTAS is always convened, and it decides whether a threat is specific or non-specific. So now the Ministry of Civil Aviation has given a mandate, has revised its mandate, in fact, and has added certain factors to it, which will make the threat specific only when it actually is, and when threat is non-specific, these protocols or such resources and time will not be wasted on threats that particularly look prima facie as a hoax. So certain factors that have been added to the existing, set of rules are that you have to find out whether or not what we can identify the motive of such threats, whether or not any VVIP on board the flight is a target, whether or not the person who is giving a threat has any license with any terror outfit or any organization that could target or execute such a attack. Also, they have asked to check the concerned persons that the social media account from which the threat is coming, whether it is a verified one, has it been used in the past to give similar threats or not. And all these things have been done only to refine this and filter all the threats that are coming in, so that not all threats become specific threats, and not for all these flights that the threats are coming. All such protocols that are laid need to be laid, because it certainly will save time, resources, and also money to the airlines.
Yes. But Anvit, also tell us that by when can we expect this mandate or guideline to be implemented? Is it something that has already been started by the civil aviation? Because even yesterday, there was around over 30 such Hoax call that was made to some of the flights in the national capital.
See, this circular was issued a few days back by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. It has been given to the concerned authorities, and they have been using it now. They have been following it now. The number of threats are high. There are 30 threats in a day. Friday there were 50 threats to flights. Saturday there were 25. So number of threats are high, but this has been done to reduce the number of protocols that need to be laid in. Also, so that resources can be saved for time when there are real contingencies, like there's a real emergency situation. In most of these cases, we have seen that people go on social media, put out the flight numbers and give flight timings, which is easily available information on Google. So any person who is giving out these threats is using information based on internet. The DGCA clearly has said, the Minister of Civil Aviation has clearly said that any such information that could be easily available that is not very specific must not be converted into a specific threat, and therefore they have said to conduct a multi-layered assessment of these threats that are coming on social media. They have also asked to determine the seriousness of the threat and only then make a threat as specific. They have also said that to consider the credibility of a source before declaring a threat as specific or as non-specific, so that at the same time they don't want any stone to be unturned when it's about the passenger safety or the aircraft safety, but also the resources that are being wasted. That so many hoax calls have been there in the past 1 month. There have been only more than 500 threat calls in less than a month. So also to not waste resources on such hoax, this step has been taken.
All right. Anvit, I'll request you to please stay with us as I'm joined by aviation expert Mr. Praful Bakshi. My question to you is, Mr. Praful, when we see the mandate or the guideline that has now been put in by the Civil Aviation Ministry, how do you see this will in fact be, is it going to be a positive impact on ground? Because considering the kind of loss we are facing in terms of the civil aviation economy, it is these threats are getting serious every day by day.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and I agree with the processes which are taking place. But let me warn you, it is not as simple as that. That somebody has just sat down on his desk and written the thing, and within 3 days, a thing of this thing is announced. How do you assess? You have to see the type of threat. A bomb hoax threat. Where will go start assessing whether it is real or not? It means you can fly that time and then keep assessing. You have to first make sure that this wolf call is real or unreal, because you cannot take a chance with your 120 to 200 or 300 passengers. You just can't do that. And how come that this just suddenly came as a season, 1 full week or 15 days of hoax calls? It means there is some other agency which is behind it. It is not so simple that one disgruntled boy who failed in his exam, he just decided to make a hoax call. It is not as simple as that. I don't believe in that news at all to start with. There is something which is being hidden. There is something which is behind the lines. And then when you get this threat calls, assessment, yes, you do assessment. Then you have to send your detectives, assess. You take so much of time. But there are some time-bound emergencies, like bomb hoax call. Now, this is very time-bound. It is a few minutes. Aircraft takeoff, suppose it is real, 1 in 100. Then, are you ready to take a chance? You have to ask yourself. There's somebody in the ministry thinking that he's made a very smart move. He just makes a statement like that. No, sorry, sir, I don't agree with this. Our intelligence has to improve. We have to look at that. We have to talk to ourselves. Our intelligence is failing. Our police investigation system, which should monitor the society, that is failing. The police must know exactly where are the troublemakers and what are the background, who are they connected to, in which country. That has not been revealed. Just telling us that, oh, he's a disgruntled man, a failed businessman, and he decided to do it because his matrimonial atmosphere at home is not good, something of that sort. No, that is not the case. So, the step is correct. We must start investigating, but more than that, our intelligence must be better to forewarn us that these are the troubled areas on the map. Here are these are the flashpoints where the things can come up, and this has got some reason behind it. When somebody does it, it is coded by some objective which was not declared in the newspapers. And if it does not come in the newspaper and television, it does not mean it is not happening. It is happening. Somebody is deliberately not telling us. That is the problem.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Praful Bakshi, for joining us and putting things into perspective. Now, with that, we'll slip into a short break. More news and update on the other side.